Mene Heinrich is with us, Diversity and Inclusion Manager at Bold. Hello there. Good afternoon.
Hi. Hi, good day, everybody.
Hello.
Good day to you too. We've been talking about resistance, fatigue, demotivation, burnout, all those troublesome topics for any organization if and when they occur. So the big question, and please try that without using the phrase, it depends. How do you see the symptoms of all these things happening in your organization? Like you start smelling them in the vicinity. Not exactly the kind of dish you were hoping for, not the right smell. What do you see with that?
You can usually tell by people's reactions and what kind of questions they ask, what they say, what they tell you. And actually, I find some people are quite upfront. They don't hold back. They're not afraid to tell you what they think. Others, you will have to read their body language, that they're actually closed off to this topic and not listening to you, for example, in a meeting or a workshop or a training. So I would say you gotta read people.
So I suppose before anyone really talks to you and starts voicing their concern, you can see some nonverbal reactions, can't you? At meetings, you can see the level of enthusiasm or no enthusiasm whatsoever. Does it start before words are spoken, or is it only when you create a forum for people to voice their concerns and then you find out?
Well, diversity and inclusion trainings are notorious in the corporate world. Let's be honest about that. There have been plenty of examples how they have gone wrong or just haven't clicked with the audience. So there is a certain apprehension to people even showing up to hear about this or to talk about this. And I have sort of learned to live with that and just, proving them wrong in my sessions.
Fair enough, but I would take it, correct me if I'm wrong, but especially in the corporate context, employees would generally be careful voicing their concerns aggressively because that would be considered part of risk management, your personal career prospects. You're creating risks for your personal career, especially if you aggressively voice your concerns. So what one could guess from that is that if employees go as far as doing that, they actually realizing it creates risks for them, still think it's so important for them that they need to express those views. How do you address that?
Well, first of all, now I need to use the word depends, because at least I've been lucky enough to work in companies with a very sort of honest culture that people are not afraid to hold back or to challenge you and actually expect you to be able to provide answers to their even most complicated questions, right?
So that's a good starting
So,
point, fostering a culture of genuine openness,
yeah.
not show openness.
Yeah, yeah. And I also find it important to say, if you're having any conversation about this in a team, in a leadership team, with a group of people, that it's okay to voice different opinions. That, I mean, this whole area has been changing at least the whole time that I've been working with this, which is almost 8 years now. So things that were okay and we were talking about maybe 8 years ago, like the discourse has really changed by now. So it's important to communicate a culture of openness around this topic as well. That if you don't know, it's okay to ask. And if you have a different opinion, let's discuss. But of course, we cannot argue about these things forever if the company has made up its mind on how it sees things. So if there's a company policy, there are company values, there's a course of action that the leadership of the company has decided upon, then at the end of the day, people really don't have an option but to, either respectfully disagree or agree. But I mean, a healthy debate and a healthy challenge and a discussion is always welcome, but we gotta recognize the place and time where it also is not constructive anymore, and people just want to poke holes through you, or just want to upset you, or want to trigger you into losing your calm and actually, you know, proving their point, and how delicate this topic is, or that there is actually not substance to it, which is sometimes the argument from those opposing this area, that this area is actually somehow an attack on meritocracy, that people already are hired on based on their merit and based on their competence, so we don't need this whole diversity thing, right? There are many reasons why people challenge this, and I guess with each individual, you have to find their reason for challenging it, and trying to show them the other perspective.
It's very interesting. I would probably be the last person to question the value of questioning and challenging as an exercise intellectually to get you where you want to be. But what it implies is that in your daily work, or in your experience of watching organizations coping with crisis situations, it looks like the umbrella level storytelling is failing, because even though specific companies employ specific employees based on the qualities they expect, those employees become eventually so toxic around the D&I conversation. I mean, they can't stand the way their organizations talk about DEI sometimes, to such an extent that they become so toxic, as you put it, that they want to destroy you in a conversation. They want to throw you off balance, so to say. They want to win over your argument. So it becomes very personal for them. How come? I mean, what is wrong in this equation? What are we missing from this picture?
I wouldn't say that the resistance is always that dramatic, or
Well, hopefully not always.
or yes, or even planned.
Otherwise, you would need a
But
military title, I suppose,
yes,
instead of
yeah,
diversity and inclusion officer.
yeah. I think that the people that are, actively trying to challenge you, for some reason, this area just doesn't make sense to them, either because they lack knowledge, they have misunderstood something, because this I have encountered quite often, that there are misunderstandings about certain topics in this realm, such as the gender pay gap. People don't really understand the methodology and the difference, for example, between the gender pay gap and equal pay for equal work, and sort of not getting it. They think, they dismiss this whole area because they don't understand, and they think that, well, the people that are working on this or that are talking about this are actually misguided or misled. So that's one reason why I find that people disregard this or challenge, is because they genuinely don't understand. And then for others, I mean, most people don't wake up in the morning and think that, okay, today I'm gonna discriminate somebody, today I'm gonna be unfair, today I'm gonna, harass somebody, but still people do that. And sometimes, rarely, there are those types of people that just have a lot of hate in them, have, for whatever reason, a lot of prejudice about certain groups of people, and actually have a personal belief that diversity and equality is not something that's good for all the world. Let's not pretend that these people don't already exist, but they are a minority, I would say.
It's
At least, yeah.
it's impressive in its own right how composed you are in basically facing those complex scenarios in an everyday situation, I suppose. Maybe not every day, hopefully not everyday situation.
Not every day, no.
But it's
no,
a
no.
case-by-case thing for you. It's approaching someone individually, making sure that you use the best arguments you can to explain, and thereafter comes the borderline, so to say, beyond which you think, okay, reasonable, logical arguments are simply not working. What do I do now?
Then you refer to your company policy, your company code of conduct, your values, whatever, because
You shut down opposition.
I mean, at the end of the day, we cannot argue forever.
Exactly.
And if there are differences in how we see things that are so fundamental, then having the company values and policy when it comes to this area defined really helps us. Also, the laws help us because from the UN conventions to all our national labor laws, they say that people need to be treated equally, right? So those sort of measures will always help you at the end of the day decide what is right for the company.
Right. Makes perfect sense. And we have a bold, specific question coming from our audience. Here it comes.
Yeah.
Drag queens, non-conforming folks need more safety. Would you or are you planning to educate drivers how to be more diverse and provide more safety for the LGBTQ plus community?
Oh, I love this question. This is definitely something that we need to do more of, and our safety department is always looking to take us to the next level in this, and we are very aware of the safety concerns that there are. So I cannot promise you exactly when and what we will do, but I can tell you that we take improving all the whole safety area very seriously at both.
Basha, any questions for our fantastic guest?
It's such a complex topic. Before we started, I started questioning myself: is it even possible to, successfully solve the D&I conflict, value conflict? What is realistic, what is not? So this question is still kind of buzzing in my head. Is it realistic to resolve, navigate, yes, but resolve D&I values conflict?
What is, from my perspective, especially interesting in all of your inputs, really interesting, valuable inputs, is that we certainly don't hire people who are toxic at the outset. Sorry for this label, but you know what I mean. Feel very strongly, negatively around this issue. It becomes so important that almost every day they feel they need to voice their concern one way or another. So it becomes a daily affair for them. Because we wouldn't normally hire them if we could see that in a recruitment conversation, would we? So obviously,
unless it's effective recruitment.
Unless it's effective. So obviously, it is the culture of any particular organization that is bringing out this, call it hostility if you like, but generally resistance to whatever you're trying to make those people believe or act on. So one final message, if you were to think about resistance, fatigue, demotivation, and if you just had one sentence to conclude this topic with, what would that be?
That diversity and inclusion is not a matter of opinion, it's a matter of knowledge. So those people just need more knowledge.
I couldn't agree more.
I agree.
And throughout this discussion, I've been worried that I did mispronounce your name at the very beginning of it. Hopefully I didn't, did I?
You did not.
Wonderful.
It was perfect.
Mare, it's been an
Thank you so much.
absolute pleasure to have you with us. Mare Heinlucht, Bolt Diversity and Inclusion Manager. Best of luck with all of your challenges into the future. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.